It's a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Kiran Subbaih. Very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
I've been trying to see if you at least yawn. You haven't even yawned. I've taken 2 naps in the last 6 hours.
It's wonderful to see you. I wanted to ask you about your beginnings. How did art come to you, or how did you come to art?
I think it's going to come very soon. I've been waiting for it. I thought it was going to come yesterday, last night, but it just slept, but it's soon going to be here.
Who are your heroes? Who are your influences? Who inspired you?
Abby Hoffman, Lenny Bruce, K.P. Krishna Kumar, all the guys who killed themselves in the end.
Now, one thing I was confused is like kind of multiple Kirans. Often there is a alter ego. I was wondering if you can talk about this sort of multiple persona, and do you have pseudonyms?
Yeah, the only pseudonym, not a pseudonym actually. The other name I have is Anti-Kiran. Yeah, it's good you asked this question because everybody either thinks it's anti-myself or anti-other people, that Kiran is anti-everything else. But I think it just stands for, like the relationship between particle and antiparticle and matter and antimatter. It's as though one cannot exist without the other. And the coming together of the two is complete destruction.
And what's your link to mathematics? Because it brings us, this answer brings us to mathematics and somehow to your connection to play also in the work. I mean, there are kind of like lots of puzzles and paradoxes. And did you study mathematics, or is it something you got interested in? Or?
I only started getting interested in it after I finished school, after it stopped being studies. And the whole reason why I got into art was because in school it was a hobby, it was not studies, and I was sure I didn't want to study, and there was art school where you could go and play and get a degree for playing.
And you mentioned studies and the beginnings, so somehow I read that you trained as a sculptor.
Yeah.
Where did you study sculpture, and who were your teachers?
That's in my biodata. I think you should just ask me something which you can't look up on the internet. Because I've been listening to a lot of people just telling us their biodatas.
Now, but you see, I think it's interesting in terms of memory. It's interesting to have these different figures from the past.
Okay, yeah. Before art school, I kind of, when I was about 5 or 6, I designed a torture machine for my teacher, and I think, yeah, I've not really made sculpture. It's just an excuse to make money from it.
And where would your catalogue raisonné start? What's the kind of first work in your catalogue raisonné?
Catalogue resume, yeah. If I were to write it myself the way I want, it's 1970 sometime, so year I was conceived.
And what was your first exhibition?
I have a lot of exhibitions on I had in my resume, but that was just in order to get an exhibition. So I just had these fictitious exhibitions. But maybe the first one is the first one in art college, the first year of art college when you show your work. Yeah.
And what about the internet? I mean, you did lots of online shows. When did this start? Because there was sort of...
Yeah, not really shows. I think end of the 90s.
Yeah. And what did the internet, is it a parallel reality for you to do shows? What does it mean, this whole idea of doing shows online? Because you developed websites, online exhibitions.
No, not really online exhibitions. I just
or propositions maybe more than exhibitions.
Yeah, I think what I did was called net.art. Or at least that's what we called ourselves.
And what happened in that net.art?
It's a big secret because a lot of the things I did were illegal, and it was done with communities of people who worked anonymously. So I can't really tell you exactly what I did. All the terrible things that happened on the internet, which were made on the internet by anonymous people or pseudonymous people, it was all me.
And what about your unrealized projects? Do you have projects you wanted to do which haven't happened? Can you tell me about
Yeah. But I've kind of I wanted to do genetic engineering. I mean that's the newest new media, and I wanted to clone myself. And after some bit of research, I realized it can be quite dangerous, and people may not like what I do. And I just found that I got married last year, by the way. So I can make it at least halfway without going.
Now,
Going
a few more questions. One thing I was curious is, I mean, sometimes your work goes beyond the gallery space. It goes also out of the internet. It goes into the public space. We heard a lot today about this necessity for more public art, or maybe the absence of public art. But your work doesn't seem to be public commissioned. It's a more self-organized way to work with public space. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, I think public art is quite dangerous because there's a lot of things that you stumble over and think, what the hell is this doing on the street? And you realize it's supposed to be art. So it can be a disaster, and then you can't remove it from there. So the internet is a nice way. I mean, you don't get in the way of people. People can come to it if they want to. So I think doing public art, one needs to be careful. I mean, I think most of what KHOJ has been doing has been temporary, so that's okay.
But you're doing street signs, so they are temporary street signs.
Yeah, the street signs were mostly like stickers.
And how do they work? Can you?
It's just like graffiti. It gets pulled off the next day.
So you put stickers up?
Yeah.
So limited lifespan. Do you have an idea of a museum or of a street museum? I mean, Jonas Friedman conceived this idea of a graffiti museum.
Yeah, but I'm very much for the conventional, what exists as a museum, and I just think in terms of what work to make for the conventional museums. I think it's very difficult to just think of something very different. You can just, I mean, twist it a bit to suit the present context, but I don't think we really need to invent a totally new way of making a museum.
So what do you mean by conventional museum? What kind of museum would you?
Well, I just take, for example, what is the museum we have here? NGMA Museum. Yeah, that's a museum. Yeah, that's it.
And what's the first museum you visited as a child?
The one that actually had an effect on me was the Indian Museum in Calcutta, and especially the Buddhas in it.
Maybe one more question was about your kind of performances and your videos. You often perform as an actor in your videos. I was wondering if you can tell us about the flight rehearsals.
What do you want to know about it?
Just how they occurred, what triggered them?
I don't remember actually. It just happens and I do it. I don't really think about. I can cook up if you like, but.
Do you have a plan? Do you plan these things, or what's the role of chance? Do they happen? I mean, Whistler said art happens.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, thought is quite. I mean, sometimes it just surprises you, your own thoughts. So you're not so much in control.
Maybe that's a good conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got a 10 minutes break, a 10 minutes coffee break, and then no more break until the end.